Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Behind the Mask series with the hospitality leader. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined with Daniel Clark, UK Executive Ops Director from Delaware North, where, as we've been chatting, I didn't realise the extent of the operations with Wembley, Emirates, home of Arsenal, Craven Cottage, full of Fulham, Olympic, home of West Ham. Also, close to my heart is the Ricoh Arena, where Wasps play. Pride Park, which is where Derby play, as you'll know, as well as other brands like Prime Burger operating through Heathrow, Luton and the Excel. So, Daniel, it's great to be talking to you. It has been strange, and I appreciate everything that's going on at the moment, your time. How are you?
I'm well. I'm in a positive frame of mind, I think, as we're starting this roadmap back. So yes, more positive than one's been for the last 12 months, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all go, in different ways. But I mean, I think let me start with this question, Daniel. What's it really been like to have empty stadiums, and how's it affected you and your teams? And what's been the biggest challenge of this ordeal?
Okay, so big old question there. What's it been like? I think it's been surreal. I think that's true for everyone. I suppose if we're speaking honestly, it's slightly depressing. I think it affects motivation levels. It affects your good feeling inside you as such, because it's just not what we do. We don't have empty buildings, and I think, without trying to sound too melodramatic, your work stream seems very soulless, and I think that what we do is got a lot of energy to it all, and a lot of stuff that is very intangible. When that goes silent, it's very silent, and so it's been challenging. I think how it affects you is. I think it's probably true to say of the workforce, and particularly, I've got a fantastic bunch of people around me, and the general management team, the leadership team, and so on. I think it really brought forward resilience, and this just general attitude of saying this won't beat us. It's all very British, isn't it, to sit there and say we shan't be overcome by this adversity and so on. We've obviously we've taken benefit of a very generous government scheme of furlough and support around that, which has without doubt saved jobs, without doubt. We are an American organisation. We are a very small organisation in the UK compared to our American owners over in the States. Their furlough scheme is very different to our UK furlough scheme. Their furlough scheme is effectively saying we'll continue to employ you, but you're not going to get any money. There are some state benefits, but over here, obviously, people are getting 80% of their wage. I appreciate people above the threshold, they're not getting quite as much, but they're getting 80% of their wage. And so it has without doubt saved jobs. Hasn't saved as many jobs as we would like to, but it has. But we are an organisation, we are an industry. We don't do this. We're a highly social industry, a highly human industry. And what you're asking is humans don't socialise, don't talk to each other, don't see each other, don't engage with each other. It's the complete antithesis of everything that we stand for as an industry. And so it's very difficult, and you try and keep it going virtually, you try and keep it going through a screen, but it's challenging. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question of what it's been like, but it sort of paints a picture, I suppose, of what not just us, but many people in the hospitality industry have been going through, I think.
Yeah, no, it does absolutely answer that question with a really, really honest tone there, Daniel. So no, thank you for that. I think the things that I certainly picked up is that's surreal. You can't see it or blame. And actually, I like that. The determination, never say die attitude. It's a case of the timeline, as you mentioned. Who could have predicted it would have been this long? And the bigger the challenge, I suppose. I don't know. I don't want to be too optimistic and positive, but maybe the bigger the buzz and feel good factor when we do get back to watching our our beloved sport and concerts and having those good times. So, I don't know. Look, but going back to that, with the much anticipated return of of sporting events, and concerts, how does that feel as an operator? And again, how are the team participation? Come on, give us an insight, Daniel.
How does it feel? Right now, I'm sat in Wembley on this particular day. I don't know when people are going to be watching this, but on this particular day, we're about 4 days away from the FA Cup semi-final. So the FA Cup, I know Nick, you're not a football fan, but obviously the FA Cup semi-final is a pretty blue ribbon event. It's normally an event which goes over a double header weekend at Wembley Stadium, Saturday and Sunday, 2 full houses of 80,000 people, with one of the oldest competitions in the world, playing out the semi-finals to see who's going to come and play at Wembley in May. And it happens, it's Wednesday today, so it happens on Saturday and Sunday. The government roadmap to release of lockdown is such that they have laid out some very heavy stipulations around certain date lines as to when all aspects of our industry and all aspects of all society is going to come back. But the more relevant things to our industry is that sports stadia will be allowed to have significant numbers of fans, up to 10,000 from May 17th. That's dependent upon certain test events going well. Although they've announced that and they will go to that and they'll stand to that, they've said it still is dependent upon test events working well. But this weekend are those test events. So the FA Cup semi-finals at Wembley Stadium are 2 test events that are happening, followed next weekend by the Carabao Cup final that was delayed from February, March time to next weekend, which will be another test event that moves into the FA Cup final. So this weekend on Saturday, we have another game behind closed doors, the Manchester City-Chelsea semi-final. And then on Sunday, we have the Leicester-Southampton semi-final, which will be the first time that fans will be allowed back into a building to watch football. So 4,000 fans will be coming back into the building at Wembley Stadium to watch football. How does one feel today about fans coming back, and what's it like? Confused, I think, excited, anxious, nervous, hungry to get on with it. We are somewhat beholden. We are a test venue, and so we are not in normal state of play. As a test venue, we are highly dictated to by DCMS, Department of Culture, Media and Sport, who are using Wembley Stadium as a test bed to understand how it works. So we've got lots of things that we face into on a very changeable nature on a day-to-day basis at the moment. LFT testing needs to go on. Fans are expected to LFT test before they come in on Sunday. Our staff, medical questionnaires, COVID overlays, COVID safety protocols, all those sort of things. So we're in a fairly surreal moment at Wembley where we've got this going on, a very exciting moment because we're having fans come back. It feels great for me. Now I've been either fortunate or unfortunate to work all the way through and deal with what has been effectively a ship that's got lots of holes in it. You've been bailing water and trying to stop it sinking for a year. I'm terrible for my analogies, so forgive me for it all. But where we've sort of plugged the holes and we now realise the ship is going to sail, but it's not fitted out. We've now got to go back and work out how we refit this ship to sail it properly. And as we waken the business back up, something to the scale of Wembley Stadium, IT systems, safety systems, people systems, stock systems, all of these things all have got to come into play at a staggered level, a piecemeal level, but you have to have strategy plans behind all of them. So the big part of that is people. So where I have lived, walked, breathed this whole experience all the way through within the business, a lot of people, my little rabbits down the rabbit hole again, we've gone and woken them up and say, come back into work now, we need you. So we have staff coming into work on Sunday. What we're finding is that as they come back, they are anxious, more anxious. There is a thing called this FOGO, fear of going out. And some of them suffer with FOGO, understandably. There's been a lot of media noise about this thing's going to catch you every time you come around a corner, you're going to get hit by it. So they don't realise it's actually quite safe to walk down the street. But there's an element of that. There's an element, and a large element, of people being fearful that they've forgotten how to do stuff. Even something simple as load up a fridge with all the beers, all the drinks and so on, front face them, make it look neat, put it in there. Okay, I've done it, can you come and check it? I would never have to check that under normal circumstances, but they want you to come and check it because they want validation. They need they need some positivity. They need to get this validation thing going, so they feel okay, I'm okay. And the best, and the thing is, they know how to do it. Muscle memory is strong. They know how to do it. They just need to have the confidence to do it. And again, forgive my analogies, but it's like riding a bike. You always remember how to ride a bike. I used to work for Centre Parks. It's amazing how many people turn up at Centre Parks that have to ride a bike and say, I've forgotten how to ride a bike. They go down the cycle centre. As soon as they do, they get on a bike and they're bombing down the road in 2 minutes flat. They haven't ridden a bike for 20 years, but their muscle memory is there. Same thing happens here. All you've got to do is go, you're okay, you can ride the bike, just go and do it. And they'll come back to speed with pace, we believe. So it's, as we sit at this moment in time, we're slightly ahead of all our other Stadia colleagues because we've got these test events. We will be going at a pace at Wembley with the test events ahead of the release of lockdown agenda for everybody else. So going back to the date, everyone else releases on May 17th. They can bring 10,000 in. May 23rd is actually the last game of the season. So May 23rd, we'll see large numbers of fans in stadiums. Prior to that, they'll still be behind closed doors. That literally is catering to about 30 people in your stadium. They're behind closed doors. At Wembley, we will be catering to people, but against a constantly changing agenda where every event we do, we will take the learnings and step up to the next event. So Carabao Cup final at the moment is looking at 8,000 people coming in, and it scales up from there accordingly. So it's yeah, it's an interesting thing. A lot of the dialogue I'm having with my management team and my leadership team is that for a year, 18 months, wherever it is, one's had to say, put your foot on the brake, stop doing things, stop, press down hard on the brake, stop spending, control cost, stop. You're now in a situation where you're saying, can you just ease your foot off the brake and start to put it on the accelerator? Do not slam the accelerator down, otherwise we will just literally skid off the patch, but just take your foot off the brake. And now it's really hard when someone's been driving with their foot on the brake the whole time to turn around and say, it's okay. They're going, yeah, but we're going to gather speed. You're like, that's okay. Just giving people confidence and validation around what they're doing and coaching them through it all is kind of where we're at now. So it's exciting. It's really exciting. We're getting back to doing what we do, right? Which is important.
Oh, it's so important. I think I do love your analogies, Daniel. I haven't heard the expression FOGO actually. It kind of puts agoraphobia within a new sort of context of sort of fear and worry, and I suppose that doubting bit in terms of the riding the bike it's strange because I think I've heard conversations of people thinking their memories are going and they can't, and it's just that get back into it, and it's all about confidence, isn't it? Hats off for yourself and your leadership team, giving that coaching, that encouragement, because as you say, muscle memory and
yeah. I mean, the furlough process or the furlough criteria is very precise. You cannot speak to people. They cannot have emails. So, you can use it for training. You can talk about communication in terms of if I wanted to do a quiz for my workforce that are at home and so on, I can do that. If I wanted to start engaging in conversations and ask them about, a planogram for a fridge or that, so you're not allowed to do that. You then have to bring them back in on full pay. And so you're right. How we start to just gently wake people back up. And like I said, I mean, I was talking to somebody, one of our staffing people, and they have a medical condition, which means they've had to shield, and they've had to shield for a year. They've been in their house for a year. They came into Wembley yesterday. It's the first time they've been out of their house in a year. And this is the staffing team. At Wembley, on an NFL game, we have 3,000 people, staff, working in the stadium. She oversees the 3,000 people coming in. She hasn't been out of her house and seen more than her husband in a year. And so, as she came in, obviously, I had one guy came in almost like in a Hasbro suit. He had the whole bit on, the full jacket and everything, the mask and shields and everything and so on. And we kind of got a face shield on, going, but you have to be sensitive to it and to understand it. And 2 days later, the guy's wearing a face shield and that was that. But, this is reality. This is where we're at. So.
It's a strange reality, and brings us to my final question with thanks, which is, what are you most excited about as we enter the new chapter, Daniel? What are you most excited about?
standing on a terrace looking at 80,000 people screaming and shouting and having a bloody good time because they've come along to an occasion where we provided them with food, drink and service that's given them a lifelong experience and a lifelong memory that they'll have, you know, and being able to do that. I think that it's interesting because, again, when you look back to the hospitality industry, a lot of my support functions that sit around me, HR, finance, procurement, marketing, all those sort of people, the world's been different, but it hasn't been superfluously different. You know, they've had to manage people. Unfortunately, they've managed people in a very negative way, but they've had to manage people, probably taking up a lot of their time. Procurement's the same thing. You're just procuring less stuff. You're still doing that. Finance, absolutely, they've been busy because they're doing a rescheduling, reforecasting, you know, remodeling things all the time. What we do is we serve beer and we flip burgers and we give people the most amazing experiences from a service industry. We haven't done that for 18 months or 12 months and so on. So, you know, I think of, I used to run the O2 and I think of something like that, 180 events a year, you're drinking, you're having a good time, you're watching bands on stage. You know, the same thing goes to Wembley, as somewhere where you go along. Everyone dreams of going to Wembley. Everyone has their Wembley moment. You know, we're part of that Wembley moment. And to be able to be a significant part of that again is something that I'm looking forward to tremendously. I think, and that's all kind of very emotional. I think from a functional point of view, honestly, re-engaging with humans. We're in a human industry and I'm fed up talking to a screen. I'm fed up looking at, you know, you're on mute, you know, that, God, I want to ban that phrase, you're on mute, you know, and that, bye, you know, it's like, we all need to be back as humans again, engaged with each other. We need to be social, and I'm fascinated to see how humans work in synergy with IT. A lot of people have spent years thinking about what's the new normal? The new normal. There is no new normal, right? It was the old normal. It's what's going to be the new normal. It's just going to have new sensitivities in it all. So we're going to go in a world where we have to be sensitive to where we're at. But we know we have a very short memory of things and we move on very quickly. So we will move back, transition back to this incredible state of Glastonbury, of everybody on everybody's shoulders and flags waving and everybody having a beer and doing what they do in the fields and so on. And we'll have some new sensitivities towards it, of course we will. You know, I'm looking forward to just human engagement. This is what I've loved in the industry I work in, and just that whole, you know, indescribable and slightly crazy nature of humans, that you never quite know what you're going to get, and that makes every single day fascinatingly interesting, you know. So that's what I'm excited by, rather than going, I've got a day full of virtual meetings.
No, yeah, do you know what? And this is hopefully going to be one of the last behind the masks as virtual. And we will be having a beer, Daniel. You know what? You made the heads back of my neck stand up then when you talked about the first thing you said was the full stadium, the atmosphere, and it really brought me back to childhood memories when you know, I was massively into football and you know, obviously rugby we talked about before, but being an Everton follower and you know, with all the energy and everything else that comes with it, that's the buzz, that's why people love it, and that's why people have missed it so much. Right, Daniel, you have got a ship to fix, and thank you so much for your time.
You're really welcome, not a problem. Thank you for your time, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, speak to you soon. Cheers.